Hi, my name is Liz. I'm the Youth Education Coordinator here at Matthaei-Nichols. Today we're going to make mini pies. We're going to be using apples for our mini pies. And apples, although we think of apple pie as super American, apples actually come from Kazakhstan. There are crab apples that are native to the Americas, but the apples that we eat come from that region in Kazakhstan. There are over 7,500 different varieties of apples today. That's a lot of apples. We're going to make a butter crust today, a very simple recipe with flour, butter, a little bit of salt, and cold water. But remember, baking and cooking is all about fun. And so if it's easier for you to use a store-bought, pre-made pie crust, feel free. You can even use pre-made pie filling. In the end, you'll still have a really cool little mini pie that you made yourself. Let's go ahead and make that crust. You'll need 2.5 cups of pastry flour, or all-purpose flour. That works too. A 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and a little bit of very cold water. You'll set that aside to use later. You'll need 2 sticks of butter, and that butter needs to be cold. Cut the butter into very small pieces. Toss it into the bowl with the flour and salt mixture. Coat those pieces of butter. Next, you'll take that butter and use just your fingertips to blend it in, to crumble the butter and the flour together, blending it together until you start to make a rough dough. Now that dough has started to come together, but it's still a little bit dry, we're going to add a little bit of cold water, 1 to 2 tablespoons at a time. Make a ball of that dough. Next, pat that dough flat. You'll wrap that dough with plastic wrap and put it in the refrigerator. Cut the apples up into small chunks. You can use an apple corer like this that cuts them into sections, or you can just use a knife. Now that you have your apples cut into small pieces, we'll sprinkle spices over the top and brown sugar. 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg, and 1/4 teaspoon of cloves. Cloves is kind of strong, so if you don't like the smell, you can leave it out. Next, we'll add brown sugar. 2 tablespoons is really quite enough. The apples are already sweet. We'll mix that together, and we're going to simmer it on the stove, just until the apples get soft. Now it's time to take the pie dough out of the refrigerator. It'll be a little difficult to roll right away, so you'll want to let it rest on the counter for about maybe 3 or 4 minutes. You're going to roll out into a sheet, about 1/4 inch thick. You'll use cookie cutters to make shapes for your mini pies. Remember, you need a top and a bottom, so you'll need 2 cookie cut shapes for each hand pie. Place 1.5 tablespoons of mixture in the middle. Place your second cookie shape on the top. Press the edges down so that they seal. Do this with the rest of the dough and the filling. That goes in the oven at 375 degrees, and it'll take about 35 minutes to bake. Now that you've taken these wonderful pies out of the oven, it's time to take pride in what you've done. Really nice job.